All right. Yes, we are live.
Good.
How's it going, Aaron?
It's going good. It's interesting. Nice weather today. It sounds like we're going to actually get a tropical storm on Thursday. I was reading that this is the third time that the tropical storm has actually made it this far north. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Really?
I never recalled ever being alive for the last one, and of course I wasn't. I think the first one was like 80, 82, or last was like 82 or something like that. There's one in the 60s and one in the early 80s.
That it's still considered a tropical storm as it's hitting us?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's new to me.
Yeah, I mean, you check your weather. It says like Thursday, tropical storm. What is it, Ernesto or Eduardo is going to be in Wisconsin, and I saw some of those rain forecasts on the western part of the state. It's like 4 or 5 inches of rain. So
I guess hopefully everybody. I mean, some of our producers that are down in that neck of the woods. Hopefully they're doing okay with. I've seen some pictures out of Texas of, complete flooding going on. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing okay. But yeah, I guess I would have never guessed. I would have just assumed that when one came up, that the rain we got was connected to it. I guess I didn't think much of it if it was still considered a tropical storm when it hit us or not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's odd, but yeah, you bring up a good point. Some of our, T4 Wilbur to Houston. Certainly down there. Thoughts and prayers go out to you guys. Hope you guys stay safe. It's nasty weather. It sounds like.
I tell you, it wasn't until I was running around down there with Paul, and we'd go through some of them intersections. You'd go underneath the highway, and they had along the side. I'm from Wisconsin, right? We don't see this kind of stuff necessarily. We'd get the 4x4 out when we'd see a puddle in the water, and we'd go drive through it. And down there, they got like 15, 20, 25-foot markers underneath the highway so that you don't go driving into it and find that you're 25 feet deep. Like, that was just crazy to me.
Yeah, I remember last time one of the times I was down there, they were preparing for a hurricane, and they had all the road signs up saying, get your water, get your gas now. And it's amazing that, because again, I'm from Wisconsin too. We don't experience these kind of things. So when you're down there and they're really fully prepping for essentially an apocalyptic type storm, it's like, gosh dang, this is crazy. And I'm worried for me to just get out of there. And it's different. It's totally different. We prepare for like a blizzard, or something, but not anywhere near that type of preparation. It's crazy.
No, and let's be honest. Typically, preparation for a blizzard up here is make sure that the beer cooler's stocked and got a couple pounds of meat ready to go. Or a tornado. A tornado here. I get the cooler set and I put the chair out on the front porch and I watch the storm come through. Right? I mean.
Yeah. There's always that looming joke of Wisconsinites. Whenever the weather sirens go off, we always go outside first before we go to our basement.
It's like a moth to a flame. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. All right, I suppose let's dive into. Let's get focused back into work here because we've got some of that weather coming in, like you said, the next couple of days. So we'll be preoccupied.
Yeah, you betcha.
But no, shifting gears into good to great for everybody that is signed on and watching us live. Thank you and welcome back. We're diving deeper and deeper into this book, Good to Great, and entering into the Hedgehog. Can't speak this morning. The Hedgehog Concept. So. Aaron, I'll let you lead it off here. You did the slides for this morning. Thank you. So you got a couple bullet points here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting concept. Interesting to the chapter leads off with comparing yourself to a fox versus a hedgehog, and we think of a hedgehog as a very meager, maybe a stupid animal. But they're really not. They're focused but they're very focused on being a simplistic type animal and being a very simplistic goal set. Like they have that laser focus. Whereas if you're a fox, in which time, you kind of think of yourself in a business world as a predator, as a fox. You're very scatterbrained though. You're constantly, it's like the squirrel concept. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. Can't focus on one thing because there's a million things coming in. Particularly if you are in an ownership role, you do have a million different things coming across your desk at any point in time. So it is very hard to focus, to stay, on task, on par. And that's what the hedgehog can do. The hedgehog does, keep that focus, and then they use the example of the fox trying to grab the hedgehog, and the hedgehog rolls up into a ball, like we know, very protective of themselves. So it's a very interesting concept. I struggled with it, to be honest with you. I struggled with seeing it. There's some things that we'll talk about in this chapter that I really love, but I just had a hard time with it, trying to get the concept in my head. But it totally makes sense. Simplistic vision, laser focus, and in it for the long haul, not just short-term goals.
Yeah, and when I first read this book, when I first read this, actually, it was we did it similar to what we're doing now. We had kind of a book club going where we could meet and talk. And one of the things that I had a hard time with, like you, is separating the thought that the hedgehog is an ostrich, right? So bear with me for a second. But of that whole concept of burying your head in the sand and hiding from other things and focusing on what you do, but yet you're not burying your head in the sand, right? It's not that you just forget about everything else, but you're focused in on the core. And that's the thought, right? The hedgehog curls up, protects its core, defends it with all its might. It's not burying its head in the sand trying to forget the problem. It's just protecting the one thing that it absolutely needs or it's the best at, right? And that's kind of where the book went with it. But that was, I had to get away from the thought of it being kind of like a bury your head in the sand kind of thought.
Yeah, that's what I struggled with, I think. But you bring up a good point there.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. Click on to the next slide.
Yep.
I gotta get a glass of water. You start talking. I'll be right back.
Not a problem. So obviously, as we slide in here, that whole hedgehog, we talk about what can your company be the best at, what your company can't be the best at, and that's that. They talk about the hedgehog and I forget exactly how they title it. Finding. I'm going to open that chapter, and as you guys know, I love. If you haven't seen, and I'll put it back in here because it keeps falling out. My hedgehog flipped to my page because it just slid out on me here. But my little bookmarks, I love this. I don't know if you can see my tabs, and I got blue tabs over here on special pages. But the point of simplicity within the three circles, and Aaron, that's that page 120 or 118, I guess. That's that page that you've got photographed there of finding that core, right? What can you be passionate about, right? The passion has to be there because it's got the drive, it's got your energy. Economic engine, right? At the end of the day, we are capitalists. You have to make a profit. You have to earn money to continue to take your passion and grow it and drive it. And then, again, what can you be the best at of your business? What's your core business and focusing that in? Then taking that hedgehog mentality and finding that key point like they have here of the connecting of your passion, what you can be the best at, and still make money. I don't know. I wrote this out, or when I was putting this up on YouTube and kind of writing the little description or synopsis of it, it's how do we take that the whole circle of what can you be the best at in the world, right? And that's a pretty large, big picture kind of thought, right? So and it can be overwhelming, right? Like this is hardscapes, dude. Like we're making concrete and pavers and walls. Like, what do you mean the best at in the world? But like, I don't know if it's I could be way off base when I make this statement. So it is what it is. But like, it's not necessarily about the product. It is, but what, I don't know. There's other things involved with this, right? With service and how you relate to your team that work with you and the service that you provide to your customers and the product that you make. That's all part of, I guess, my thought. I don't know how to roll that up in a nice, neat bow and hand it off, but this was the part that I think is really hard to wrap your head around when you say, what part of my business can I be the best at in the world, right? That's a big statement.
Yeah, it is. It's certainly you think of the world. I mean, like a lot of times we say that we want to be the top performer in our county or, in the industry, but you're saying the world. That's a very broad, big, that's a big goal, but it is, very true. And I took it as more of a mentality. If you don't have that mentality, that you're the best in the world, then yes, you are probably not going to be a very successful person. End of the day, are you going to be the best in the world? Maybe, highly probably not, but you're going to be the best. But to think like you are the best in the world, that is where, you really start setting those goals along those lines, to achieve that. You understand some of the things that we've talked about in the past videos of, setting goals that are, attainable, but, very, very high, not just setting low goals and just trying to work through the day. So that, I love this visual. You see this a lot in a lot of these books of, 3 circles coming together, understand that, if you're passionate about what you do and you have the mentality of being the best in the world, but you don't have the economic engine, then you're just going to be very passionate and very motivated, but you're not really going to have any kind of metric or anything to really drive for. Same thing, if you have an economic engine and you're passionate, but you don't have that killer mentality to be the best in the world, you'll be okay, but you probably won't be the best. So really trying to find that emergence of those 3 circles that is how you have that concept. It's how you have that mentality, that mindset. So this was very interesting.
I almost put that best in the world, and it's bravado, right? It's a little bit of controlled arrogance, and I want to be careful on the word arrogance because that can come off as negative. But like you said, if you don't have that mentality, like if you don't carry yourself and have that bravado of and put up, right? You gotta put your money where your mouth is. If you're gonna talk a good game, you need to drive to that. But that's where, if you're passionate about it, right? Heck yeah, I'm the best. Prove me wrong. Here's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna keep driving to that. And I think it pushes you, right? And that's the whole theory to this, right? Take you from good to great. It's pushing you from where you are now, outside of your comfort zone, right? Have a little bit of bravado, have a little arrogance, and say, you know what? I'm going to back that up. Yes, I'm going to be the best in whatever, and I'm going to keep driving and keep driving. Which is it's healthy, right? To push yourself.
It is. Yeah, it is healthy. It's very healthy. If you set yourself mundane goals, you're going to have a mundane life. I mean, you're just not, it's the 9 to 5. You're going to wake up and do your 9 to 5, do your 9 to 5. And if that's all you want to do in life, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you do want to be, go from good to great and be a top performer and be recognized in industry as a leader or a person who made tremendous impact in the world, you really do have to do these things. You really do. If that's your aspirations, it's literally the only way you're going to do it. It's not going to be some blind luck that's going to fall in your lap. It's having that mentality. It's putting yourself in those situations. Those failures, those successes, it's all part of it. So I can't say that enough. And I like what this book says about in your organization, you have to understand what you can be the best at in the world and what you cannot be the best at in the world. It doesn't mean that you should cut that off your plate. It just means that understand and be comfortable with the fact that you're just not going to be the best at it in the world. Maybe you do, maybe you have used Hardscape. I think that our retaining wall system is the best in the world. I think it is the best in the world. I think all of our stuff is the best in the world, but I think more so, the wall product that we have, the outcropping, the Coda, it's the best in the world. It outperforms any other system that we have. Now, I am not, I think, the best in the world at maybe being on that sales side. I know I am a very technical person, but on the sales side, I could use help, so I seek help all the time to be better at it, but I understand fully that I'm not the best in the world at that. I think our products are the best in the world. Just, it's kind of a personal thing. So maybe not the best example, but, I was just trying to put in some kind of perspective that, it is, you just understand that, the best in the world. There are certain things that you can be and certain things that you're just not.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with that.
No, I like that. That's good. I followed you. Yep. What about? I like this. You need to seek counsel. And so you put that in as a bullet point. What's your thought?
Yeah, they have a good section in there. It's even they list out 11 bullet points of the characteristics of a counsel, and seeking outside counsel I think is so crucial. And a lot of times we don't do that. We live in our glass box and we just kind of put more out than we do in. So they have, and I didn't put the circle in there. They have the circle flow through the council, but your council should definitely have outside input on what you're doing. Keep the 3 circles that are pictured here on this slide in your mindset when you're discussing goals, when you're thinking about your business plans, your path, so on and so forth. But having that council kind of comment and chime about what it is that you're doing. Are you headed in the right direction from outside eyes? What can we do to change? They say that this council should meet, weekly, if not quarterly, monthly. They should be part of your key management team, but you should have as well as an outside input coming in. They have to, meet without any kind of biases. Obviously you want to have honest, open-hearted opinion. They can't have biases about what you're trying to achieve. So it's a very crucial process, I think, to seek counsel. Even on, if you can't put together a council of people that are going to sit in a room and talk to each other, just having a mentor. Mentorship is huge. It's one of the biggest things, I think, for anybody to be mentored if they want to move themselves from good to great. If you don't have a mentor, I would highly encourage you to seek one.
100%. Could not agree more with that statement.
Yeah, and I think that's what the council is really talking about, because oftentimes we don't work in companies that have ginormous amounts of resources. We're our own landscape company or our own producer. We're smaller, so just seeking your own personal mentor. For me, my mentor is somebody that taught me a lot about leadership. His name is Mike Rehnquist. He works as a leadership counselor. I had two mentors before that, both had passed away. It's just, you have to have a mentor. You have to have somebody that has outside perspective. Generally, they're going to have way more knowledge than you will. But they're so crucial. And I hate to hear it when people don't seek mentorship. They don't.
And I want to stop, because I think I am a big proponent of this, and I think that if we're going to bring it into perspective of, for me for a second, I'm going to say, all right, to any of the sales teams and people that are listening that say, well, I don't, I've got my little territory here, and I've got a sales manager. That's great, and that sales manager or another team member may be that person, but the industry is such a big place, and our industry is so great. It really is, because there are so many people that I have met over the years that I still call back on. I've got a couple of mentors that I work from. Pete Balagalu and Eric Clavette will be the first two that will come to mind every time. That I still reach out to today, and that I'll continue to reach out to years from now. Like you said, there's going to be expertise that they're going to have, and they may be smarter than you at certain things, right? I mean, I reach out to one of them for very specific information and business strategy and things like that, right? But I've got a specialty that they don't have, right? Like, so it's not necessarily. So I want people to look at this with a very open mind and outside the box. It's one of the. Eric is not necessarily hardscape solely, right? So it wasn't that he came from the landscape industry or even stayed in the landscape industry. Those mentors can come from a lot of places. I guess is where I want to get to.
Yeah.
So it's somebody that can guide, lead, and you can lean on, right? That, I don't know. I'm a big proponent of having a mentor, and I think.
Yeah, and you touch on a good point that there's professional mentors and there's personal mentors, and there's the ones that you reach out to for a technical question. You're trying to design something and it's just not working right. How do you do this? That's a professional mentor. That's seeking advice on your profession. And then there's the personal mentors who are basically the quintessential shoulder to cry on. Person that you're sharing your deep thoughts with, that you're struggling with something personally. So you do have to, you have to have, if you're fortunate enough to have both, it's great sometimes that single person can play both roles. Generally I think professional mentors are a little easier to find than personal, because obviously there's a whole level of trust when you start sharing, personal intimate secrets with people, but such value on both sides. I mean, particularly just take professional for instance. When we make our products, oftentimes we only see what we see inside our own plants. But to be able to have a soundboard off of somebody making similar products 400 miles away, it's a big deal. I mean, especially experiences. They've seen it before. You have not seen it before. That's a huge deal. And that's what I love about the precast industry is you have a lot of that. If people are willing to talk, there are people that will listen. Likewise, if you're willing to say that I don't have all the answers and I'm really struggling with something and I need help, there are people that will reach out and they'll help you. You just got to be willing to take that help. So precast is great with that. That's what I love about it.
When that's and again, and to wrap it back into this slide specific, that's how you achieve the Hedgehog concept, right? That's how you get there. Is that there are some very gifted people that can become the best in the world on their own, right? Elon Musk just sent U.S. astronauts to space, right? Like, I get that. Does he have outside counsel? Probably a little bit, but he's probably helping more people than he's getting help from, right? I mean, let's be honest. But Hardscape Nate here, I've got mentors. I mean, I've got, I've got both. I've got personal, I've got professional. And those professional and personal mentors are helping guide me to find what I'm best at, right? Like, find my Hedgehog concept. Because I couldn't do it on my own. Or not as, it would be a lot messier, that's for sure, right? Like, I don't know, we probably beat that one to death. But I'm with you. I'm a big proponent of having those people you can reach out to and mentor.
Yeah. Well, that's a very important part of this chapter, having that counsel. Like I said, sometimes you don't have access to 12, 15 people, whatever, that could sit in a room and discuss these items, or 4, 8, whatever it is. Sometimes it is just one person, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. But I mean, to circle back to everything that was in this chapter, I think the big takeaway was those 3 circles and just really having a good understanding on the need and the need to be passionate, the need to have that thought, that mindset of being the best in the world, and then also the need for some kind of an economic driver, whether it's dollar signs or units per X, whatever it is that's driving you. You do have to clearly define it. So you have all 3 of those intertwining with each other, and that is, the quintessential way to become great from good is to have all 3 of those operating.
Yep. You wrapped that up in a nice bow. I can't really, I can't really add anything to that. You nailed it. I don't know. I don't want to say the chapter's easy because it's not, but out of all the chapters, I mean, it's straightforward, right? At the end of the day, it's kind of a, it's a straightforward chapter. I'm gonna flip to the next slide, but do you have anything else that you want to add to?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's I had to read this chapter actually about 2 or 3 times. Just I read this one really slow because I found myself thinking about myself in this chapter and thinking, trying to apply it to me more so than I have any of the other chapters. So really got dove deep into this one. I had to think about this one a lot because when I'm like a deer in headlights when I see those diagrams of those in those 3 circles. I have to figure that out. I have to. There's something that's telling me, and I have to know what it is telling me. So I definitely was really engrossed in this chapter wholeheartedly. It was great.
Yeah, I know. I find myself the same as I take one, I break them all down individually and try to figure out, what I am in that, what I am in this, and then actually try to piece it back together to see if I'm in a middle or not. Yeah, I agree. I really got to focus on each individual side before I can figure out the whole diagram.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So next week, we dive into a culture of discipline, which, again, it's uncanny how, the good to great is pairing to great at work, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, concepts from any type of these books really do carry through other books, right? I mean, it's collecting everybody's thoughts on it and their point of view and merging it into what you feel. But it is uncanny how these do they all kind of coincide with thought processes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason for it. It's being great. And that's. I sat in a meeting this morning with the NPCA. We were discussing, how to find and keep good employees and so on and so forth. And it's amazing how a lot of these books, you wish you could get all of your people to read them because that's the message that everybody needs to hear is these principles that come through these books. That's how people, get motivated about their job. That's how they keep their job. They have that drive. They're able to take these principles out of this book, apply it to their real life, and just grow and excel. It's amazing.
It's funny you say that because I do think that the coronavirus is horrible. But I think that if we were to all take a second, the one thing out of probably many that it's taught us, but the one thing that I really take away is that often we find ourselves, we're too busy. I can't read the book. I'm too busy. I'm not going to take time to read a book. Whatever. I'll pick it up. It's not going to do it. But being quarantined, being at home, and our company's policy on our travel at this point of where I find myself having, I don't want to say more time, right? Because our time is definitely stretched still, but finding the time where I'm in one place and I'm not on a plane and driving to the airport or going to whatever, but take a second to take a breath and focus on what's really important. I think that's what coronavirus and this pandemic should be teaching us, right? Of, you know what, slow down and look what we've been able to do, not doing what we were before, right? Like we thought that was the only way to do things, and now it's forced us to take a breath, step back, relook, and I think one of the things is just personal development, right? How do we move forward out of this? And I don't know if it's not going to be that we're going to move forward out of this the same as we used to. Right? It's going to take personal development and re-looking at ourselves and what we can do and how we can do things to achieve the goals that we still want to achieve.
Yeah. That's well said.
There's a little Hardscape Nate insight for a Monday.
Well, and I think for those that, that kept working, or that, kept working through it, they still, you all still have to do that. You still have to to do that personal development, find that time for personal development, understand how this is affecting the world, how this is changing the world right in front of us, and it is changing the world. So very important. Personal development is so important.
So, all right. Well, with that, I'm going to say that next week, same bat channel, same bat time.
Yep.
Going to hit into a culture of discipline. So, yeah, everybody that joined us, thank you, and we will see you guys next week.
Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.